Hi, this is Natalie from Namaste Farms, and I'm going to teach you why I like certain fleeces over others to spin from the lock. And this, actually, I made a video for Charlene Mudd, and who I love, and I couldn't load it. So then I was thinking, well, maybe I'll share it with other people too. So if you got this video, and it was after Blog Talk, it means that you were one of the 5 that was picked to learn this, and it's all because of Charlene. Okay, so I like greasy fleeces. A lot of people don't, because what happens is you lose a lot of weight. So you're going to pay a lot of money for these fleeces with a lot of oil in them, and then when you wash them, you're going to lose all that weight, right? Because oil is pretty heavy. I like it because it makes locks like these big fatty locks like this, that some people would say, what's so great about that lock? Because where's the lock structure? It's almost like using roving. And so I prefer these fatty ones as opposed to these really tightly purled ones like this with less oil, and I'm going to show you why. Okay, so I'm going to grab, I got to get my leader here, and we're going to start from the beginning, and I'm going to show you what makes these fibers so brilliant. And a lot of people, if it doesn't have great lock structure, some people won't really want to buy them. And I call these like these Michelin locks, these big fatties. Because, okay, so what I do is I put the end in, lining up with the orifice as if it's roving, like as if it's been combed. I'm sorry, my Pomeranian's barking. So let me just attach to my leader. And watch what happens. This is so easy to spin because it's going to unfold on itself. I gotta tighten up my tension. Hang on. There you go. See, it honestly, like the locks like end up like opening up. They're alongside each other, but they just unfold exactly like roving would. And it's going in the orifice, not perpendicular, right? So perpendicular would be if my lock was going in sideways like this. It ends up going totally end to end, because that's the way they pull apart. They're pulling apart. Okay, here's a lock. They're pulling apart. One's going in front of the other, and see how it's all one end to the next end to the next end to the next end. It's like roving. So this kind of fleece I never pull apart. I never pick these fleeces ever, because that's defeating the beauty of them. The beauty of them is that they're so fast to spin because they're just unfolding exactly like a roving would, but you get to keep the integrity of the lock. See, they just go end to end to end to end. And I don't have to keep reaching and grabbing another lock to add on like I do if the locks are really separated and really purled. So I'll show you. Once again, this is not going in, it's really not pulling very well, and it's starting to get on my nerves. There we go. It was me. Okay, so see there, this is the ones that I like. Now we're going to go to the ones that I think are a pain, and it's hard to spin because it takes forever because you have to keep grabbing locks. Okay. And the shorter the locks are, the harder they are to spin if you're not going to comb them. Okay, so I'm still going to put it in so that it's not perpendicular to the orifice. I want them to go in end to end. And this one I can kind of, it's got enough lanolin that I can kind of pull it apart, but I have to keep grabbing, and see, they're not big, chunky, really awesome. I like the big, chunky ones that I don't have to keep adding another one on and adding another one on. It's like as if you broke, as if you're using roving and it's broken and you just have to keep patching it in. It gets on my nerves, and it takes a long time to spin these. So I'm always looking for the fleeces that have those big, chunky locks and lots of lanolin. Okay, besides this, and it's really getting on my nerves why my tension's not working. Because I have my tension up really high all the time because I don't want to overspin my yarn. But see, this is just annoying. It's just annoying. But I have to keep patching these in. One of the things you can do is you can make your locks longer by felting them. And so if you can't buy long locks, you can felt them and make them like this. And that's what I did. So, especially with dark fleeces, it really, really works. It's not as nice with light fleeces because then you can see like where right here it's been felted. So I'll take a fleece like this. Is a gorgeous onesie doll fleece that was under the blanket and it got a little bit felted, but the locks aren't very long. And if I wanted to make long locks like this yarn, right, these locks are perfect and they've been on the sheep for like a couple years, maybe 18 months to 2 years. Well, this has only been on the sheep for maybe a half a year. Let me grab and show you a lock. See? It's like five inches maybe. So I'll put it down here on this whatever you want to use, you know, a piece of foam or a sponge or whatever to felt. And I'll separate a lock and I'll get the shorn end and I'll put it at the top, and then I'll get, this is the end that hangs off the sheep, and I'll line it up with the shorn end of another lock. And I'll overlap them, you know, maybe, I want to say like that looks like about a ½ inch or so. And then I'll take my felting needle and I will gently, because I don't want it to look really horrible and like I've done, you know, something, but it's totally secure when you're done, you know, and you kind of pull on it and see if it's secure. And on that ½ inch, I'll just go up and down and I will felt them. And these are like making artificial long locks. And this is a very time consuming process. So obviously if you can buy longer locks, you're way better off. But it's not always available, and you will never see black locks, solid black locks this long, because you couldn't have a blanket on it. So this would be, if this was this long and you had bought it, it would have been here, it would have been all brown and sun bleached. There's just no possible way that it could be that long and be this black, because you can't grow them this long under the fleeces. So if you want black long locks, this is your only option. And it works much better with wool than it does with mohair, because mohair just doesn't have, especially really good mohair, doesn't have the scales, and it doesn't like to felt as easily. So I would do this, and I would, if I wanted to have a long lock, work with long locks, and that's exactly how I would have it. And I would just make a bunch of these and then spin them into yarn. And you could have a black long lock scarf. Okay, that's all I've got for you. I hope that you learned something, and if you have any questions, you can email me at littly@mac.com. Please join our Ravelry group. It's Namaste Farms, and you can friend request me on Facebook. This was actually sponsored by OH Cruz and Janice Rosema. She sells the Spinolution wheels. Thank you so much for watching, and happy spinning.